Hello, I'm Joe Manchin. I'm so excited to be hosting the first Facebook Live Service Academy session. If you're interested in serving our great nation and obtaining a world-class education, then I'm talking to you. I want to thank you for taking the time to log on, and I want to thank the representatives who are here today from the service academies. We have a member of Congress must nominate, all of us must nominate you for an appointment to one of the 4 U.S. service academies: the U.S. Military Academy, the U.S. Naval Academy, the U.S. Air Force Academy, and the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. You will hear a little bit about each academy today, and I encourage you to comment below with any questions you may have for these representatives. If you are serious about duty, honor, and commitment in our country, then I ask you to visit one of the 4 U.S. service academies online. You can also apply for a nomination from me online at www.manchin.senate.gov or call my office to request an application packet. I look forward to helping you be part of this esteemed institution. The deadline to submit an application to my office is October the 5th. We're going to start with the session now. So the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, we have Michael Locansolo. I want to make sure I have that correct. Locansolo. He's a West Point graduate. At the U.S. Naval Academy, we're going to have retired Navy Ray Shipley. The U.S. Air Force Academy, we have active Lieutenant Colonel Kendra Olson. And so please tell us a little bit about yourselves in the Academy. And Captain, we'll start with you.
Hey, thank you. I'm the Deputy Area Coordinator for the Blue and Gold program in West Virginia. We work with the students that are applying to the Naval Academy. Of course, the Naval Academy exists to train leaders for the U.S. Navy and for the U.S. Marine Corps. And while you're at it, you get an outstanding education on Uncle Sam's dime and at one of the prestigious institutions, educational institutions in the country. And of course, we're right up the road here from Washington in Annapolis, Maryland.
And now if we would have Michael Locansolo, if he would go ahead and explain his West Point experience.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So my name is Major Mike Locansolo. I graduated from West Point in 2003. I continue to serve in the Army as an active duty officer. Right now I'm a Special Forces officer, which I transitioned over to about 10 years ago. In the last year, I've moved over to Washington, D.C., where I serve in Army Legislative Affairs. Really, the best thing about West Point is what it taught me about leadership, what it taught me about character and honor. And I take that and apply that into everything that I've done over the past 15 years as an active duty officer. So it's a pleasure to be here, sir. Thank you.
Thank you to have you. And now we have Lieutenant Kendra Olson from the Air Force Academy.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Kendra Olson. I have the pleasure of working for the United States Air Force Academy Admissions. I am proud to be here today out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, which is where the Air Force Academy is located. A few interesting facts for those interested in applying. Approximately 50% of our graduates do go on to pilot training. We offer approximately 30 different majors, both technical and non-technical. And it is an amazing opportunity to serve in the United States Air Force. All graduates do go on to be commissioned as second lieutenants in the United States Air Force. Thank you, Senator.
I want to thank all 3 for being here today. And we're going to start with our questions now. They've been submitted by students earlier this week. So from Pikeview, West Virginia, the first question we have is, do you need a certain ACT or an SAT score to get in? And we can start, Kendra, we'll start with you.
Yes, sir. There is no specific SAT or ACT score required. We do have averages. For instance, on our website, academyadmissions.com, an average for ACT is about 30. Now, please remember, if you're below that or above, that does not disqualify you necessarily. Obviously, if you take the test and you don't do as well as you'd hope, we recommend you retake it until you get a score that you feel is desirable, and we also offer feedback from our counselors.
Michael?
Sir, it's absolutely the same with West Point. Really, the mean average is about 30, and I think it's probably the same for all the service academies. The range of 26 to 30 is where you find the majority of the percentage of students that apply do fit into that category, but as the Lieutenant Colonel said, you don't have to score that to achieve or to be accepted into the academy. We've had, people with, at times, range of 16 to 20, that, with some extra assistance and some other alternatives, they can still get into the academy and serve.
I would add additionally that that SAT or ACT score is used as a screening mechanism by the admissions board. We get between 12 and 15,000 initial applicants every year, a number of which, based on their scores, are unlikely to be ever competitive. So the ones that fall below a certain level of SAT or ACT, they get a notification back that, hey, retake the test score, see if you can get it up. And those that are well above that, they're above the average, become a candidate, a full-fledged candidate, which they process the entire application process. And it's a fiscal thing as well. The Academy can't afford to process the entire application package for all 15,000 initial applicants. So it's kind of a screening mechanism there.
Our second question is from a 7th grader. She asked, how early should I start preparing to be a candidate? And I think, Major, we'll start with you.
Well, sir, the earliest that I would say preparing to become a candidate is now. Start preparing yourself personally and professionally to take on the task that you want to do. However,
this is a 7th grader.
The 7th grader, prepare yourself as...
Is that when you started?
Well, the application process, no, but in terms of the ideals and the mental and physical toughness that come along with going to the academy, start as early as you can. With the application admission timeline, really during your junior year, around December is when you want to start with your SAT, your ACT, contacting a field representative, which you can go to the West Point website to identify who that is for your region, and completing cadet questionnaires that they have for you. So right around the middle of your junior year is when you want to start that process. You really don't want to wait until any later than the summer after your junior year. You really need to have it started by then.
Captain, the same?
Yes. For that 7th grader, which I agree, I like to see 7th graders that express the interest in the academy. Number one, you need to take the best academic courses that are available in your school. You need to get good grades from it. You need to look for leadership positions, be it in sports, be student government, and try to pick a sport, a varsity sport, to participate in high school, because we like smart students, but we like athletes too. So that becomes, and particularly for the female applicants, it's important to participate in a varsity sport in your high school years.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Yes, sir. I am thrilled a 7th grader is asking these questions. It is never too early. Fantastic advice from my colleagues. I would throw in, at any age, start reading. Start reading about what it means to serve in the military. Read about the Air Force Academy, other military options. Just get informed so you can make a great decision. And I second what the captain said about taking difficult, I'd say, academic classes, especially in STEM areas, English, math, science. Thank you, sir.
Our third question is, what type of extracurricular activities can I do to help set myself apart from other candidates? I think you kind of went through that. If you want to reemphasize that, Captain.
Well, it's particularly you want to be involved in extracurricular activities. Scouting is a good one, for example. Community involvement but in
An example of community involvement.
Well, community involvement may be simply a food drive.
Gotcha.
for the people that can't pay for the underprivileged, and any other community activity, whether it's just to clean up a bunch of trash around a park or whatever. Take the leadership position when you do it. Be kind of in charge of it. So you're building your resume by being involved in activities, being a leader in it.
Lieutenant Colonel, why don't you give us your personal experience, how you prepared yourself and what you did? And I'm going to ask Major to do the same thing.
Yes, sir. I was very active in high school. I ran cross country, I skied, and I did actually spring tennis and track at different points. I was a varsity athlete. I was also very involved in volunteering in my community. I think one of the
What
biggest...
type of volunteering did you do?
Oh, goodness. I worked with the Lions Club, for instance. I worked on outdoor various things to make the community better, enrichment programs. I'd say one of the biggest things is something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Not just checking a box, but something that really you feel like you really...
do.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Major,
So, sir, the same really is just participate in everything you
what'd
could.
you do? Personally?
I did a lot of community service events that you name it, sir, that was going on. I would participate in that, and also joined several clubs.
Athletics?
Athletics, played baseball, but joined several clubs as well. Whether it was sitting behind the stage, helping set up things, being part of things that were going on.
Since you
within
two
school.
have gone through this process, were you cognizant that you had to start that at 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade? Had you not done that before and just jumped into it? How did it become part of your routine?
So I was a bit different than the average applicant in that I didn't know from a young age that that's where I wanted to
Okay.
apply. It was my junior year of high school, and I took U.S. history, learned about World War II, which both my grandfathers fought in, and I said, well, my parents have always told me you need to go to college, and I agreed with that, but I also now had an itch to serve my country. So I looked at West Point and said, well, that scratches both itches, plus they make you maintain a physical fitness level, a standard that you want to upkeep. So I didn't start the process until then because I didn't know
Gotcha.
that I would do it until then.
Sir, very similar to myself. Junior year is when I first learned about the Academy
What
and
it took.
ROTC. Yes, sir. So, but never too young to start looking.
Never too young. Our fourth question, and this comes from Chapmanville, West Virginia. Do you take the highest test scores if I take them several times? I assume that question is, I did pretty good my first time, I did a little better my second time, but boy, I knocked it out of my park that third test I took. So I guess I would ask that, and we'll start with you, Major, on this. How?
Yes, as far as I know, you
Keep going till you-
can continue taking it, and they will take your highest score. So if the first time the jitters got you and you didn't do so well, you can continue going at it.
Captain.
As far as we look at the high water mark for any of your exams. You cannot hurt yourself by retaking it. And that's one of the key recommendations I make when I interview students that are applying. And if they are in an area where it could go either way for their application, a lot of it based on somewhat marginal test scores, I always tell them, please retake the exam, because you want to be the best you can be. And if an applicant tells me that they're satisfied with what they've got, that tells me that that applicant doesn't want to be the best that they can be. So that you need to give yourself the best shot, and keep retaking the exam. All it takes is a Saturday morning and a little bit of mom and dad's money, and and you improve your candidacy at any of the academies.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Yes, sir. Concur.
Same.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Our fourth question comes from Point Pleasant, West Virginia. What are the three biggest things you look for in a candidate? So if you're going after that candidate, you got to make a decision. You have 10 finalists in front of you. What's the three biggest things, starting, if you can think of the first, second, and third in that order, or just the three biggest things you have? Michael?
So, sir, really first is leadership, and we touched on it with the extracurricular activities that you're participating in. It's good to be on a team. It's better to be the captain of a team. At West Point, you have about 61% of the student body at any given time had been a team captain when they were at West Point. So leadership qualities, because in the end, it's a leadership institution. Second, being service. What do you want to give back to the country? What is your motivation in going to West Point? We look for somebody that's going to provide a lifetime of service to the nation, whatever capacity that may be. And then the third is character. You have a number of people write recommendations on your behalf on why you'd be a good cadet. And all those recommendations revolve around what kind of character you have as a person.
It's all the honor code, right?
Yes, sir.
All the academies have that. Lieutenant Colonel, what's your three?
Yes, sir. So like all the academies, we look at the whole person concept. But if I broke that down into 3 categories, I would say leadership or character. For the Air Force, integrity, service before self, and excellence in all we do. I would also say athletics. It's important not only to get into the academy, to succeed at the academy, and to graduate and serve in the United States Air Force. And third, I would say, is your academics, to be able to get in and through.
And
Thanks,
Captain,
sir.
since you evaluate a lot of this, you've been doing it for 20-some
Yes.
years now. Okay, what are the 3 things that stands out when you're picking, and you got to pick between 2 or 3 people?
Other than what my compatriots here have already mentioned, the one thing I would mention is that we interview all official candidates, and one of the things I look for most is the speaking ability of that candidate when I'm doing the interview. That how organized he is and his communication skills. That is an important thing that I look at during the interview process.
Number 6, from Bluefield, West Virginia. Do I still need to apply for a nomination if the academy just wants me to play a sport, football, basketball, or baseball? They're coming recruiting. Do I still need to apply for that nomination?
That is correct.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. I have a couple of questions I'm going to throw in real quick when we wrap this up, because I have it asked to me a lot. How many students are accepted each year at each academy? How many are accepted at Navy?
About 1,200.
How many at
About 1,200, sir.
It's about the
Same
same.
quota.
Your initial applicant file includes over 13,000. At least the most recent one had almost 14,000 initial applicants, and then just over 1,200.
So you're taking about 10%.
Yes, sir.
And those applications, usually I can tell you how it works from the Senate side. We have a process we go through. We have advisories. And these advisories will pick 10 of the top. I might have 150 want to go to the one of the academies. And they'll say, well, here's the 10 best ones out of that 150. And then it's whittled down as it's sent up the chain to find out, here's our 10 best in West Virginia that want to go to Navy, Army, or Air Force, and they'll pick the one out of that 10. So it's a fair process. My last question is asked to me, should I just apply? I've got my heart set on Navy. I've got my heart set on Air Force. I've got my heart set on West Point. Should I just apply to one or take my shot and apply to all 3 of them because I might be a better candidate here than I was here? What would your thoughts be on that? And I'm going to end up with you, Captain. And Michael, we'll start with you.
Well, sir, I would say, what's your motivation in the first place? If your motivation is to serve your country, absolutely apply to all 3, or every service academy, all the service academies that we have out there.
Yeah.
With myself, I was a native of New York and New Jersey. It was close to home. This was the first time away. But I will pitch that Army did win against Navy and Air Force this year in football. So that might be a huge motivation of where you want to apply.
I got you. Lieutenant Colonel?
Yes, sir. Can you repeat the question one more time?
I
I
said
think you
that-
threw me with the football comment, sir.
Yeah, I knocked you right off. I said, the question's asked to me a lot. Should I apply to all 3
Yes.
because my chances might be better one than the other, or just go the one I have my heart set on?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I would say definitely apply to the academy that you feel most aligns with you personally. But I would also say look at ROTC or OTS, which are other sources, or even enlisting. So I would first look at how you align with what service you're interested in.
Captain, what do you have?
The one thing I need to point out is the senator and the congressman from West Virginia each can have a limited number of nominations that they can give. And sometimes you cannot give more than 2 nominations to the same candidate when you have a large number of field of applicants. So you probably should nail it down to whichever institution both fits you as far as potential career path and in terms of the academic program that you're looking for. So those 2 things, and pick one.
Well, let me first of all thank all 3 of you. It's been wonderful. I hope that all of you that are watching have enjoyed it, and I hope it gives you a little better idea of how you go about this process. And I want to thank each and every one that's interested enough to want to pursue a career of serving your country, making West Virginians, all of us, proud of you, but also getting the greatest education you could ever get. So our office is ready to help any way, shape, or form. You please contact us. And so to Michael, I want to thank you for being here, and to Lieutenant Colonel, Shipley, thank you, and to Olson, Lieutenant Colonel Olson, thank you, and to Captain Shipley. So keep in touch with us, contact our office, see how we can help, and you've got some people rooting for you here. Thank you all.